We're taught that military leaders are strategic geniuses who carefully plan every move. That's wrong. Here's why. Throughout history, generals and commanders have orchestrated operations so monumentally stupid, they make your worst decisions look brilliant. These are the 20 most catastrophically idiotic military operations ever conceived. Buckle up. Number 1. The Great Emu War, Australia, 1932. Meet Major G.P.W. Meredith, military commander from 1932, Australia. Australia had 20,000 EMUs destroying crops in Western Australia. The government's solution? Deploy the military with machine guns to wage war on flightless birds. Meredith and his men fired thousands of rounds at emu flocks. The emus, being surprisingly tactical, split into small groups and ran in zigzag patterns. After 6 days, they'd killed maybe 50 emus while wasting 2,500 bullets. The emus won. The military withdrew in humiliation. Imagine losing a war to birds that can't even fly. Let that sink in. Number 2. Operation Cottage, Kiska Island, 1943. Meet Allied commanders planning the invasion of Kiska Island in 1943. Japanese forces occupied this Alaskan island. Intelligence reported 10,000 enemy troops. The Allies assembled 34,000 soldiers for an overwhelming assault. They bombarded the island for weeks, then stormed the beaches with full force. For 3 days, Allied troops shot at shadows, threw grenades at rocks, and engaged in firefights with absolutely nothing. 28 soldiers died from friendly fire and booby traps. The Japanese had evacuated weeks earlier. You'd think someone would have checked if anyone was actually home before invading. Number 3. Bay of Pigs invasion, Cuba, 1961. Meet CIA planners orchestrating the Bay of Pigs invasion in 1961. The CIA trained 2,400 Cuban exiles to overthrow Castro. They promised air support, secrecy, and local uprisings that would join the invasion. They landed at the worst possible location, a swamp with only 3 access roads, surrounded by 20,000 Cuban troops. The promised airstrikes were canceled. No locals joined. The radio equipment fell into the ocean. Within 72 hours, 114 invaders were dead and 1,189 captured. The CIA's brilliant plan: invade with no air support at a location Castro personally knew well. Genius. Number 4. The Charge of the Light Brigade, Crimea, 1854. Meet Lord Cardigan, British cavalry commander from the Crimean War. Due to a miscommunicated order, Cardigan received instructions to charge Russian positions. Instead of questioning the suicidal order, he obeyed without hesitation. He led 670 cavalry troops directly into a valley surrounded by Russian artillery on 3 sides. For 25 minutes, they rode into concentrated cannon fire with nothing but swords and lances. Within an hour, 110 men were dead and 160 wounded. Charging artillery with horses in 1854 was already outdated. Doing it in a kill zone corridor? That's just showing off your stupidity. Number 5. Singapore's defense, 1942. Meet British commanders defending Singapore in 1942. The British built massive coastal guns pointing toward the sea, convinced Japan would attack from that direction. They fortified the beaches and waited. Japan invaded through the Malayan jungle from the north, the one direction Britain left virtually undefended. The mighty coastal guns couldn't rotate inland. The impregnable fortress fell in 7 days. 80,000 British troops surrendered to 30,000 Japanese soldiers. Defending a fortress by protecting only one side is like locking your front door but leaving every window open. Number 6. Operation Market Garden, Netherlands. 1944, meet Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery planning Operation Market Garden in 1944. Montgomery wanted to end the war by Christmas. His plan: drop 35,000 paratroopers behind enemy lines to capture 9 bridges across the Netherlands in sequence. Everything that could go wrong did. Radios didn't work. Drop zones were too far from targets. Intelligence photos showing German tank divisions were ignored. The final bridge at Arnhem became a slaughter. 17,000 Allied casualties resulted from the bridge too far. Ignoring reconnaissance photos of enemy tanks because they don't fit your optimistic timeline is peak arrogance. Number 7. Gallipoli Campaign, Turkey. Factor. Meet Winston Churchill, designing the Gallipoli Campaign in 1915. Churchill wanted to knock Ottoman Turkey out of WWI by attacking the Gallipoli Peninsula, opening a route to Russia and ending the war quickly. They landed troops on narrow beaches under cliffs filled with Turkish machine guns. No proper maps, no intelligence. The Allies were trapped for 8 months in brutal trench warfare. 250,000 Allied casualties later, they evacuated having gained absolutely nothing. Landing an invasion force below cliffs controlled by the enemy is basically asking to be target practice. Number 8. The Maginot Line, France, 1930s-1940. Meet French military planners constructing the Maginot Line through the 1930s. France spent billions building an impenetrable line of fortifications along the German border. They believed it made invasion impossible. They didn't extend it along the Belgian border, assuming Germany wouldn't invade through neutral Belgium. Germany invaded through Belgium. Again, just like WWI, the Maginot Line became irrelevant instantly. France fell in 6 weeks. Germany invaded through Belgium in 1914. Assuming they wouldn't do it again is the definition of insanity. Number 9. Pickett's Charge, Gettysburg. 1863, meet General Robert E. Lee ordering Pickett's Charge at Gettysburg. 1863, Lee decided to break the Union Center with a massive frontal assault across open ground. His generals questioned it. Lee insisted. 500 Confederate soldiers marched in formation across 3/4 of a mile of open field, while Union artillery and rifles shredded them. They reached the Union line for maybe 3 minutes, 6,500 casualties in 1 hour. The Confederacy never recovered, marching in straight lines. Across open ground into concentrated fire is a strategy from the 1700s. This was 1863. Number 10. Battle of Caransebeș, Austria, 1788. Meet Austrian army commanders at Caransebeș in 1788. The Austrian army, 100,000 strong, was marching to fight the Ottoman Turks. Some scouts found alcohol and refused to share with infantry units who arrived later. A drunken argument escalated. Someone fired a shot. Someone else yelled, "Turks! Turks!" in the darkness. The entire Austrian army attacked itself for hours in complete chaos. 10,000 Austrian casualties. 0 Turks involved. The Ottomans arrived 2 days later and captured the town without fighting. Your army getting drunk and fighting itself might be the single dumbest military disaster ever recorded. Number 11. Operation Barbarossa timing, USSR 1941. Meet Adolf Hitler deciding when to invade the Soviet Union in 1941. Hitler wanted to conquer Russia before winter. He had from May to October, 6 months of good weather for an invasion requiring speed. He delayed the invasion by 6 weeks to invade Yugoslavia first. Operation Barbarossa launched June 22nd instead of early May. Those 6 weeks mattered. German troops reached Moscow's suburbs in December, then got destroyed by Russian winter. Thousands froze to death with summer equipment. Invading Russia without, accounting for winter is like swimming with sharks without, considering they might bite. Number 12. The Battle of Little Bighorn, Montana, 1876. Meet General George Armstrong Custer at Little Bighorn. 1876, Custer found a massive Native American encampment, possibly 8,000 warriors. He had 600 soldiers. Scouts advised waiting for reinforcements. Custer's ego wouldn't wait. He split his already outnumbered force into 3 groups, then charged the largest group alone with 200 men. He was surrounded in minutes. His entire detachment was wiped out in under an hour. Dividing. Your outnumbered force before. Attacking a superior enemy is textbook How to Lose Battles. Number 13. The Battle of the Somme, France, 1916. Meet British General Douglas. Haig planning the Somme offensive in 1916. Haig believed a week-long artillery bombardment would destroy German defenses, allowing infantry to walk across and occupy trenches easily. The bombardment warned Germans exactly where the attack would come. Many shells didn't explode. On July 1st, British troops walked slowly across no man's land in neat rows. German machine guns cut them down like grass. 19,240 British soldiers died on day one, the bloodiest day in British military history, telegraphing your attack location for a week. Then walking slowly in straight lines toward machine guns is aggressively stupid. Number 14. Napoleon's invasion of Russia, 1812. Meet Napoleon Bonaparte invading Russia with 600,000 troops in 1812. Napoleon planned to defeat Russia quickly before winter. His massive army would overwhelm Russian forces and capture Moscow, forcing surrender. Russians used scorched earth tactics, burning everything as they retreated. Napoleon captured an empty, burning Moscow. Winter arrived. No food, no shelter, freezing temperatures. The retreat from Moscow destroyed his army. Only 100,000 survived. Napoleon never recovered militarily. Invade Russia before winter has been the graveyard of military geniuses throughout history. Pattern recognition isn't their strength. Number 15. The Japanese invasion of the Aleutians, Alaska, 1942. Meet Japanese commanders invading Attu and Kiska Islands in 1942. Japan captured two remote, freezing, strategically worthless Aleutian islands to divert American attention from Midway. They stationed troops there. The islands had zero strategic value. Supply lines were impossible in brutal weather. Japanese troops slowly froze and starved. When America finally bothered to retake them in 1943, it cost both sides thousands of casualties for literally nothing. Occupying frozen rocks with no resources or strategic importance is like conquering Antarctica. Technically impressive, practically useless. Number 16. The Christmas Truce Aftermath, WWI 1914-1915. Meet WWI commanders responding to the Christmas Truce of 1914. On Christmas 1914, British and German soldiers spontaneously stopped fighting, met in no man's land, exchanged gifts, and played football. Peace seemed possible. High command on both sides was furious. They court-martialed officers, shuffled units, and explicitly ordered that fraternization meant execution. They forced men back into trenches to continue 4 more years of pointless slaughter. Millions more died, accomplishing virtually nothing. When your troops spontaneously make peace and your response is forcing them to keep killing each other, maybe reassess your life choices. Number 17. Dien Bien Phu, Vietnam, 1954. French commanders establishing a base at Dien Bien Phu in 1954. The French built an airstrip in a valley surrounded by jungle hills, claiming the Viet Minh couldn't possibly get artillery up those mountains. The Viet Minh disassembled artillery pieces, carried them up the mountains by hand, and reassembled them on the heights. They bombarded the trapped French base from above. The airstrip became unusable. 10,000 French troops surrendered after 57 days. France left Vietnam. Building your base in a valley surrounded by enemy-controlled high ground violates every military principle since ancient Rome. Number 18. The Battle of Isandlwana, South Africa, 1879. Meet British commanders at Isandlwana during the Zulu War. 1879, British forces camped with 1,100 troops in Zulu territory. Commanders refused to form a defensive perimeter or laager the wagons, calling it unnecessary against savages. 20,000 Zulu warriors attacked in a coordinated pincer movement. The British discovered their ammunition boxes required screwdrivers to open during battle. In 5 hours, the Zulus killed 1,300 British soldiers. It was Britain's worst colonial defeat. Refusing to build defenses in enemy territory because you're racist and overconfident is a bold strategy that spectacularly failed. Number 19. The Battle of Agincourt, French side, France 1415. Meet French commanders at Agincourt planning to crush outnumbered English forces in 1415. The French outnumbered the English 5-1. They decided to charge heavily armored knights across a muddy field at English longbowmen on high ground. French knights got stuck in thick mud. English arrows rained down for hours on immobilized targets. French casualties, 10,000. English casualties, 400. The French lost despite overwhelming numerical superiority. Charging. Heavy cavalry threw mud at the one opponent who specializes in killing heavy. Cavalry is impressively dumb. Number 20. The Zimmermann Telegram, Germany, 1917. Meet German Foreign Minister Arthur Zimmermann sending a secret telegram in 1917. Zimmermann sent Mexico an encrypted telegram proposing a military alliance against America, promising Mexico could reclaim Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. British intelligence intercepted and decoded it. They showed it to America. The telegram pushed neutral America into WWI against Germany, dooming the German war effort. Zimmermann then publicly admitted the telegram was real, eliminating any deniability, sending a message guaranteed to bring a fresh superpower into the war against you, then admitting it was real, is self-sabotage masquerading as diplomacy. 20 exhibits of military stupidity that make your worst Monday look like strategic brilliance. From emus to telegrams, these commanders proved that authority and intelligence don't always correlate. History's greatest lesson? Sometimes the biggest threat isn't the enemy, it's your own leadership. Who should be number 21? Drop your suggestions in the comments below. If this made you feel better about your life choices, smash that like button and subscribe for more historical disasters. See you next time.